Chapter 6. Earth Must Be Warned. The Earth must be warned! The Earth must be warned! Students watched as one of their most renowned and recognizable professors, due to the red-lensed sunglasses she wore, grabbed them screaming like a disturbed individual on the streets as they walked out of the Green Library building. Fascinated by what they were witnessing, each stood filming with their phones, jockeying for a position to achieve the best angle each time she grabbed a student and screamed in panic, "The Earth must be warned!" The behavior being displayed by Professor Alice LeBlanc was beyond unimaginable for a woman that had achieved so much. The crazed woman now in front of them had made 2 trips into space, first on the Mir space station in 1996 and the International Space Station in 2001. Both trips were reported to be for experiments in physiology, developmental biology, and fluid physics, but most of her students recognized her for being the forefront of human alien DNA, even though the college greatly persuaded her to keep it out of the classroom. All the greatness and brilliance were overshadowed by her current behavior, as the students turned paparazzi videoed every second. Campus security pushed their way through the sea of high-flying cell phones, emerging in the center just in time to witness LeBlanc snatching a student by the shirt collar, screaming loudly, "The Earth must be warned!" Instantly, the reason for the crowd was clear. "Ma'am, I am Officer Jones. Will you please come with us?" Releasing the student's collar, LeBlanc whipped around to Jones with hands stretched out to grab him as she screamed, "The Earth must—" A loud murmur erupted from the crowd as Jones tased LeBlanc, sending her into convulsions right before her stiffened body tumbled to the ground with her trademark glasses bouncing across the ground. Quickly each phone came down, and the crowd began to disperse as students raced to be the first to post their videos, unconcerned with the well-being of their professor. Slowly, LeBlanc opened her eyes to a world that made absolutely no sense. From somewhere, she could hear people talking but was unable to discern what they were saying, and around her bed she saw machines with one beeping at a steady pace. "What is this?" LeBlanc asked, barely loud enough for her own ears to hear. Feeling pressure and extreme dryness in her eyes, LeBlanc found that even though she was attempting to raise her hands to her face, she could not. They were bound to the bed. "What is this?" she said once again, only this time she caught the attention of a nurse just outside the door. "Good morning, Ms. LeBlanc. I am Diana, and I'll be your nurse till late this evening. How are you feeling today?" LeBlanc struggled to focus on Diana as she spoke, and approached where she lay restrained. Nothing seemed right to her, even with the clarity of her thoughts quickly returning, and with it, the feeling of 2 painful areas, one just above her right breast, and the other the center of her abdominal area. Again, she moved her hand to investigate the source of the soreness, only to be reminded of the restraints. Being an educated and well-disciplined individual, LeBlanc calmly raised both hands and asked, "Are these necessary?" "How are you feeling?" Diana again asked, while reaching out to place 2 fingers on LeBlanc's wrist and raising her left hand up to see her watch. "Well, other than the 2 spots that feel like I was hit by a paintball gun on my torso, I would have to go with confused," LeBlanc replied calmly. Releasing LeBlanc's wrist, Diana walked to the end of the bed, where she retrieved the chart to make notes while continuing to ask questions. "You do much paintballing, Ms. LeBlanc?" With a slight smile, LeBlanc said, "No, just a date I once went on with a very intriguing man." Still taking notes, Dina continued to ask questions not just to find out the physical well-being of her patient, but the mental as well before considering the removal of the restraints. "Ms. LeBlanc, do you know why you are here?" LeBlanc, being a very intelligent person, understood just what the nurse was doing and felt it would help to have the restraints removed quicker if she placed things on more of a personal level. "You can call me Alice. My students call me LeBlanc. To answer your question, no. Before waking up here, I was sitting in my living room reading a book." She paused with a puzzled look on her face that Nurse Dina picked up on instantly. "Something bothering you, Alice?" Dina asked in a caring tone. No, it just seemed like there was someone at the door. Anyhow, the next thing I knew, I was waking up here with my eyes hurting and the 2 painful spots on my body. "Can you help me out with why I am here?" Alice asked, unable to hide her curiosity. "Alice, the doctor will be in later to go over that with you, but for now I see no reason why we can't remove the restraints," Dina replied. Although she did not have any more details on why she was in this hospital in the first place, LeBlanc was very grateful to hear the nurse speak positively on removing the restraints. Soon as her left hand was free, LeBlanc brought it up and rubbed her aching eyes. "Do you know where my personal items are kept?" Before Nurse Dina could reply, a short, elderly gentleman walked into the room, heading straight for the end of the bed and picking up the chart hanging there. "Hello, Ms. LeBlanc. I am Dr. Gowitrikar. It appears you are doing much better." He spoke with a strong Indian accent, in a way asking LeBlanc but looking for a response from the nurse. As she finished removing the last restraint, Diana gave him a slight nod of approval. "Yes, I am curious, though. Why am I here?" LeBlanc asked, anxious to receive an answer. "It appears you have taken a large quantity of diphenhydramine. Do you remember taking the medication, Ms. LeBlanc?" Dr. Gowitrikar asked, studying his patient's behavior to the question. Extremely puzzled by what she had heard, LeBlanc concentrated on what could have happened but came up with nothing. "I have no memory of taking pills. The last thing I remember, I was waking up this morning and reading a book while having my coffee." Looking from LeBlanc to the nurse, Dr. Gowitrikar pondered his patient's response before informing her, "Ms. LeBlanc, you were brought in yesterday morning." Dr. Gowitrikar only provided a little of the information he knew, checking for her response as the conversation moved forward. LeBlanc gaped at the revelation. "Who found me in my home?" Few people ever stopped by. She was normally so career-focused that she had few friends outside the lab. Believing his patient could handle the news of what had brought her to be in his care, Dr. Gowitrikar explained that she had not been found at home and described the events that had taken place at Stanford. When he had finished, silence filled the air as Nurse Dina and Dr. Gowitrikar studied their patient's reaction to the news. "Okay, so what do we do moving forward?" LeBlanc asked slowly and calmly, understanding that freaking out would just put her in the restraints again. Pleased with his patient's response, Dr. Gowitrikar stated, "We have a few more tests we would like to run and should have you out tomorrow. I'll be back later to check on you." He returned the chart to the foot of her bed. "One last thing, Doctor. Can I have my personal items?" LeBlanc asked as he turned to exit. Stopping just for a second to look back at her and then the nurse, he replied, "That will be fine," and then left the room. Reaching down and opening the bottom drawer of the nightstand, Dina pulled out a large, clear bag containing everything LeBlanc possessed at the time she was brought to the hospital. She handed it to LeBlanc and informed her, "Not sure if anything was damaged. We simply bag everything and put it away with your name inside." Retaining her calm appearance even though she was very anxious to find her phone, LeBlanc took the bag and said, "Thank you." LeBlanc waited for Diana to leave the room before shuffling through her belongings. The instant the nurse was out of sight, the contents of the bag poured out all over her lap, and LeBlanc quickly located her cell phone in the outer right pocket of her computer case. Without hesitation, she skipped by the 34 missed messages and typed "Stanford" into the search bar. She scrolled only halfway down the page before seeing just what she had expected. The video was labeled "Crazy Stanford Professors Freak Out." She could feel her stomach knot up as she pressed play. "Earth must be warned!" She heard herself screaming at some student without remembering a second of the event. The video seemed to go on, but abruptly ended as she watched a person strike the ground, unwilling to believe it was her. "What happened?" she asked, attempting to keep tears from leaving her eyes. To take her mind off the video that she knew would be out there forever, she pulled her suit from the bag. It appeared to have been cut in many pieces, presumably by the paramedics. "I didn't like that one anyhow," she mumbled, before moving a few more pieces of clothes to the side, revealing the red-lensed glasses she loved so much. Happy to see they were not damaged, she used the cloth of what was once the blouse she had worn in the video to clean them. Figuring they were sufficiently cleaned, LeBlanc raised them up to place them on her face. As the arms of the frame slid along each side of her face, panic and anxiety almost paralyzed her as she softly whispered, "Earth must be warned."